Because of the breakup issue, are Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza about to cross paths again? In the ever-emotional world of celebrity stories, few narratives have held on as tightly to the hearts of fans as the connection between Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza. And now, with recent breakup rumors and shifting personal circumstances making rounds online, a new question is beginning to rise. Quietly at first, but now louder than ever. Could this be the moment that brings them back together? When endings open old doors. Breakups, whether confirmed or rumored, often bring a wave of reflection. They slow things down. They force people to look back, to reassess, to remember. And in moments like these, the past doesn't just stay in the past. It resurfaces. For many fans, the idea that a separation in one chapter could lead to the reopening of another isn't far-fetched. In fact, it feels almost natural. Because sometimes, when something ends, it creates space for something unfinished to return. A connection that never fully disappeared. Even after years of going their separate ways, the bond between Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza has never truly faded from public consciousness. It wasn't just about a love team. It wasn't just about entertainment. It was something that felt real, at least to those who watched it unfold. And because it never had a clear ending, it never felt completely over. Why this issue feels different. Celebrity rumors come and go. Breakup stories trend for a while, then disappear. But this time, something feels different. It's not just about the breakup itself. It's about what people think it could lead to. Fans have begun connecting dots. The timing of the issue. The renewed attention on Alden and Maine. The emotional weight of their shared history. And suddenly, a new narrative begins to form. What if this is the turning point? Timing. Once a barrier, now a possibility? Back then, timing seemed to work against them. The pressure was overwhelming. The expectations were intense. The moment was too fast, too public, too complicated. But now, they are no longer the same people they once were. They've grown. They've experienced life beyond the spotlight of their tandem. They've had time, something they didn't fully have before. And because of that, many are starting to believe. If there was ever a second chance, this could be it. From heartbreak to healing. Breakups, while painful, often lead to clarity. They remind people of what matters. They reveal what was missing. They bring forward emotions that were once buried. And sometimes, they lead people back to places, or people they once left behind. Could it be that this moment of emotional transition is creating a path back to something familiar? Something unfinished? Fans are watching closely. As expected, fans have not stayed silent. Every post, every appearance, every subtle move is now under the spotlight again. A shared memory reposted. A familiar tone in an interview. A quiet moment that feels intentional. For some, these are just coincidences. For others, they are signs. And in a story like this, even the smallest sign can feel like confirmation. White-heart the reality behind the speculation. It's important to remember that beyond all the theories are two real individuals. Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza have their own lives, their own decisions, and their own truths, most of which remain private. What the public sees is only a fraction of reality. And sometimes, the most meaningful parts of a story are the ones no one else gets to witness. Growth changes the outcome. If they were to cross paths again today, it wouldn't be the same as before. It wouldn't be rushed. It wouldn't be driven by external pressure. It would be different. More grounded, more intentional, more real. Because growth changes everything. It changes how people love. How they choose. How they understand each other. Is a reunion really possible? The truth is, no one knows for sure. There has been no confirmation. No official statement. No clear indication that anything is happening. But what exists right now is something just as powerful. Possibility. And sometimes, possibility is enough to keep a story alive. The idea that a breakup issue could lead to a reunion between Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza is, at this point, purely speculation. But it speaks to something deeper. the human tendency to believe that unfinished stories can still find their way back. Whether they reconnect or continue on separate paths, one thing remains undeniable. Their story left a mark that time hasn't erased. And now, as emotions rise and questions grow louder, many are holding on to one quiet hope. That sometimes, when life changes, the heart finds its way back. When the past feels closer than ever. As the rumors continue to circulate, something unusual is happening. The past no longer feels distant. Moments that once belonged to a different chapter suddenly feel present again. Old clips resurface, familiar lines are quoted, and emotions people thought had faded begin to return. It's as if time folded in on itself. And in that space, one question quietly grows stronger. What if their story isn't over yet? The emotional puzzle fans are trying to solve. Fans are now piecing together fragments. Not because they were told to, but because something about the situation feels incomplete. They look at timing. They observe silence. They notice patterns. And while none of these pieces confirm anything, together they create a picture that feels possible. But here's the truth. Sometimes, what feels complete emotionally isn't complete in reality. And that's where the tension lies. Thought balloon the power of what if in moments of change. Breakups, especially those surrounded by public attention, have a way of reopening emotional doors. They bring back memories people thought were already settled. They revive questions that were never answered. They create space for what-ifs to grow again. And in the case of Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza, the what-if has always been there. It never really left. It just waited. Why people feel something is different now. This time, fans aren't just reacting, they're sensing. There's a feeling that something has shifted. The way conversations are happening feels more serious. The curiosity feels deeper, less superficial. The emotional investment feels stronger. It's no longer just about revisiting a love team. It's about revisiting a connection that once felt real. Silence that speaks louder than words. Neither Alden Richards nor Maine Mendoza has addressed the rumors directly. No confirmation. No denial. And once again, silence becomes part of the narrative. Because when people are searching for answers, even nothing can feel like something. Between hope and reality. There's a delicate balance in situations like this. On one side, there is hope, the belief that two people who once shared something meaningful might find their way back. On the other side, there is reality, the understanding that life moves forward, and not all stories are meant to continue. Both can exist at the same time. And that's what makes this so emotionally complex. If they meet again, it won't be the same. If fate, or choice, brings Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza back into each other's lives, it wouldn't be a continuation of the past. It would be something entirely new. More mature. More intentional. More aware of what they've both been through. Because time doesn't just pass, it transforms. Is this really leading somewhere? This is the question that lingers beneath all the speculation. Is this a temporary wave of emotion triggered by recent issues? A coincidence amplified by social media? Or the beginning of something quietly unfolding? Right now, there's no clear answer. Only possibilities. The idea that a breakup could lead to a reunion is not new, but it always carries emotional weight. In this case, it carries even more, because the story between Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza never truly had an ending. And when there's no ending, people keep hoping for a next chapter. As conversations continue and emotions rise, one truth remains. Not every story that pauses is finished. But not every story that feels unfinished is meant to continue either. Still, in the hearts of those who believe, one quiet thought remains. Maybe, just maybe, this time will be different. When everything slows down, the truth becomes clearer. As the noise begins to settle and the emotional wave softens, what remains is not the rumors, not the speculations, but the quiet realization that some stories are bigger than any single moment. The idea of Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza crossing paths again may have been sparked by a breakup issue, but what it revealed goes far beyond that. It revealed how deeply people still care. how strongly memories can hold on, and how powerful an unfinished story can be. What this moment really means. At its core, this situation is not just about a possible reunion. It's about reflection. Fans are not only looking at the present, they are revisiting the past, reevaluating what they once saw, and wondering if what they believed in before still holds meaning today. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real reason this conversation feels so intense. Because it's not just about them, it's about what their story meant to everyone who watched it unfold. Acceptance. The hardest but most honest truth. As much as hope exists, there is also a quiet truth that needs to be acknowledged. Not all connections are meant to come back. Not all stories are meant to continue. And not all almosts are meant to become forevers. Sometimes, a story's purpose is not to last, but to change the people who experienced it. And in that sense, the story of Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza has already succeeded. Growth over reunion. If there is one thing that stands out the most, it's growth. They have both grown into individuals who have faced life beyond the spotlight of their past connection. And whether or not they ever find their way back to each other, that growth matters more than any speculation. Because real life is not written like a script. There are no guaranteed second chances. No perfectly timed reunions. No endings designed to satisfy everyone. Only choices. The beauty of not knowing. There is something strangely beautiful about not having all the answers. It leaves room for imagination. It allows people to hold on to what they felt. It keeps the story alive in a way that certainty sometimes cannot. And maybe that's why, even now, people continue to talk, wonder, and hope. Because once a story is fully explained, it often loses its magic. So, will Alden Richards and Maine Mendoza cross paths again because of this breakup issue? The honest answer remains the same. No one truly knows. But what we do know is this. Their story has already become something timeless. Something that doesn't rely on confirmation or continuation to be meaningful. In the end, some stories are not defined by how they end, but by how deeply they are felt. And maybe, just maybe, the reason this story still lives on is not because it needs another chapter, but because it already became unforgettable.